Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Furman Softball Weekly Windup. I am Dan Scott, along with Stacey Johnson-Whitfield, the head coach of our Furman Paladins softball team. We get you caught up on what's going on, what happened in the past week, and looking at the week coming up ahead, and also maybe start throwing out a little pitch for Den's Day, which is just right around the corner. How are you?
Doing okay. It was an up and down week, but we're moving forward and we got a big week ahead. So,
big picture, if you allow yourself the 30,000-foot view, you can see this program taking those steps forward. Sometimes when you're in the trenches or standing down in the third base coaching box, it may not look that way, right?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the hard part. We talked about that, the patience, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's something in the Bible about patience. It's, you don't want to pray for patience because the Bible says that tribulation works patience. So,
yes.
But that's another story for another day, I guess. Well, let's talk about the week. I mean, it started off really well. You swept a doubleheader from the College of Charleston in midweek.
Yep. Yeah, we went down there. That's a long bus ride, so sometimes it's hard to get up off the bus and be ready to play, which I think we saw a little bit of that in game one. We started a little slow. And we slowly got some momentum going and started hitting the ball, and it was great. And Laura Lee Scott came in the first game and really threw a really great game. And then game two, Sierra threw all seven and shut them down too and threw a shutout. And it was a great 2 wins for us to go down there and take and then come home.
I mean, any road win is a good win, right?
Oh, yeah, and especially in a midweek because, like I said, the travel, you're getting on a bus, and that's like a 3.5-hour bus ride in the middle of the week. We're getting to the hard part of school here at Furman, so there's a lot going on, and there's some naps being taken, which I don't necessarily love on the way to a game, but is necessary for them right now with their schedules, but like I said, they got up. They definitely found a way and did the job, and we got the 2 wins. And it's always nice being on a bus when you won too.
Wait, there's a hard part of school at Furman?
Oh no, never,
never. Say it ain't so, right?
Yes.
I have said this I can't know how many times I've said it, but I always enjoy getting the chance to talk to freshman athletes after they've been on campus for a semester or so, because they're all told before they come in how difficult Furman's academics are.
Yes.
And I asked them, I said, how is it really versus what you were told? And they said there's no comparison. You could not tell them what they were really in for.
No. And we do prepare them. We try to prepare them as best as possible. But
until you get into it.
No. Especially Furman. And that's one of the reasons, we recruit a specific athlete here is they're also a specific student that really wants to strive for that Furman education and also compete at the level we play.
Yeah, and let's take a minute to talk about that because I hosted a panel discussion on Saturday as part of the whole Clearly Furman thing that was going on here on campus, and we had a recruiting panel discussion with some of the head coaches here on campus. Clay Hendricks, Bob Ritchie, Robert Gary was part of it as well, and it all comes down to the same thing. You can either look at Furman's academic standards as a disadvantage, or you can embrace the challenge. And it's amazing the way the coaches on this campus look at it and the success that the athletic programs continue to have, embracing that challenge, knowing that the recruiting pool on one hand is so much more shallow because of the number of kids academically who fit here.
Yeah.
But boy, if you find the right one,
oh yeah,
you can have a tremendous amount of success, and we're seeing that on campus.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things that I actually have learned to really love about our recruiting process is that I feel like we do kind of find a niche of an athlete and a student that fits into the program. But if that student athlete can mentally be tough enough to like push themselves in an academic way and in their education and be able to balance. That's the big thing, is finding a student athlete that can balance their schedule, which we also try to do. I think when they're mentally that tough and they're also willing to play a sport at this level, it just leads them to being more successful or having the possibility to be that successful.
time management becomes the greatest challenge, doesn't it?
That every time we have a recruit on campus and they say, "What's the biggest thing?" That's exactly what I say. I say time management is the hardest thing at Furman.
How long did it take you to learn those skills?
Too long.
Well, at least you didn't say still learning.
No.
So I guess the lesson has been learned, right?
Yeah.
And as we know, sometimes the only way to learn those lessons is to be right in the middle of it and have to make some decisions or learn from mistakes, right?
Oh yeah, and I think I learned that stuff through my career of being in athletics. But also, when you become a parent, like you learn it right out of the gate. Like it is definitely time management to the max when you're a parent.
Yeah, and you also find out you're on their time.
Yeah,
and
not yours.
Especially when they're very, very young.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. I just thought it was a great panel discussion this week, and I think that one of the reasons that we continue to see the success we're seeing across the board here at Furman is coaches are coming in and I mean, let's face it, you either have to embrace it or you're not going to be successful and you're going to quickly be looking for another job.
Oh, yes, definitely, and especially here. But like I said, I love finding kids that are up to the challenge. I'm up to the challenge, and that's what you got to do.
How is it that challenged you?
I mean, honestly, I think going through the process as an athlete and then becoming a parent and then taking the job has prepared me better than I think it ever would have. Because I feel like I know the balance I need and I know the balance I want and I know the balance that they need, or I think I do. So like I feel like I have a very good outlook on what that needs to look like for them, and I listen to and I watch them so I can tell if we have practices set up all week, but it seems like, gosh, this week might be like midterms or something else, and you can see the wear on them. I think that I try to say, okay, maybe let's do like an hour, and then you guys go get something to eat, go handle what needs to be done here. Because if they're stressed out in school, you could definitely see the effect at practices and in games. So I try my best to balance that for them. If they're not speaking about it, I try to be very observant of it.
Ron Smith used to tell his athletes all the time, especially during exams, you can't do anything about your sport when you're in the classroom, and you can't do anything about the classroom when you're on the field or on the court. You have to be where you are, mentally and physically.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we kind of try to tell them. We want softball to be their getaway. So, like, if you're stressed in school or if you're stressed with something else, when you come to the field, we want you to be like, oh, great, I'm here. We don't want you to come to the field and still be stressing about those things or stressed about being at the field. So, and that is a hard thing here at Furman with the academic load on top of the athletic load. So you just got to kind of guide them into feeling like they can do both and they're going to be successful, and it's okay to stress, and we're here to help out any way we can.
We are visiting with Stacey Johnson-Whitfield, our Furman softball weekly wind-up. Well, we talked about the doubleheader sweep of Charleston, and I've tried to delay Mercer as long as I could, but let's talk a little bit about this weekend. One of the very few times this year that the bats did not come around for you, and it kind of showed up in the results, right? Yeah,
I mean, our bats have obviously been our strong suit all year and are consistent all year. And it's not like we definitely, overall through the weekend we were hitting here and there, just weren't together at one. Into the seventh inning of the third game, we scored only 4 runs between 3 games. I don't remember the last time that's happened. So obviously game 1, they were hitting pretty well. I said it before, Mercer is a good team. Lindsey Fico, their head coach, has really been trying to turn that program into something, and they've been playing very well in conference, so we had to come out and play. And our bats kind of didn't adjust to the pitching, and they just knew where to throw us, and without making those adjustments, it made it struggle. We came back in game 2, and Emerson Buzzhart, I mean, she had one heck of a game. She threw a 1-0 shutout, really held them to staying in the park and putting the ball on the ground. Defense played. Bats obviously with 1 run. That's a tight game, but Emmy really did her job to help us stay in that game. And so yesterday coming in, Bats struggled a little bit. We hit here and there. We got 2 runs going into the 7th, and defense failed. And, we had, like I said earlier, we had 5, I think, errors within just that inning, but 6, including mental errors, just in one inning. And that is going to be hard. So we battled to 9 innings, but you let teams like that hang around too long, and I feel like the momentum's hard to get back and change if you don't really put it on them.
Well, the good news is an inning like that is the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah, it is. I think our thing this year, though, is consistency. Like we can play some really good ball, and then it seems like we have that one inning that is just starts to tumble like dominoes, and we have a hard time within themselves, like shutting it down.
It back
in. Yeah, and that's going to take some time. But obviously, we're in season, and we're in SoCon part of season, so we want to try to nip in the butt when we can.
Well, it goes back to something we were talking about a moment ago. Sometimes the only way that you can learn how to handle those situations is to handle those situations.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that was a big thing I said to them after the game is, we need to have confidence in those situations. We practice those situations at practice. They need to know that they can easily get out of those things. And I think it's not necessarily teammate to teammate. I was pointing them out, and I said, if so-and-so made an error, you believe in them to get out of that situation, but you need to believe you can get out of that situation. Right. So I just think it's just a little bit of maybe growing up on the ball field and knowing that you've been playing this game for many, many years of your life, if not your whole life, and believing that you can do it.
So this week, you have Queens non-conference in the middle of the week, and then on the road at Samford, and then just kind of looking ahead a little bit, you've got the regular season ending series with Chattanooga.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, and then before you know it, it'll be conference tournament time. But let's talk about this week, and start with the Queens doubleheader on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to Wednesday. I feel like it's going to be a good opportunity. Sometimes when you have a weekend like we did, you need something very quickly to bounce you back. So I think Queens, if we play ball, we have a good practice tomorrow. It will be a good work our way through some things, come back, hopefully get 2 wins out of the day. But just if it doesn't even equal wins, just see ourselves kind of get in that situation and see that we get out of that situation. Right. Anything would be better. So I'm really looking forward to Wednesday and having us get some more momentum going again.
And that's kind of the great thing about your sport. We equate it with the Greenville Drive games I do all the time. You have a tough day. You get to turn around and come back and play almost immediately. It's not like football where you have to simmer for a week.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one great thing I love about our sport is that that one's done, but it's got to be a quick turnaround. You got to come around and try to fix things and get things going and kind of wash a lot of times.
At Samford this week, what's the story on the Bulldogs?
So Samford was picked to win in preseason. But like I said, SoCon's up in the air this year. I know UNCG just beat them in their series this past weekend. Samford only took 1 out of the 3. Mercer actually almost beat Samford in that series almost every game, so they played them tough. So, going into this weekend of SoCon play, I think we have a week to get things back on track. But obviously, if we play defense and we pitch the way we can, I definitely think we can come out winning the series, but it's going to be another tough series for us. So we got to really challenge ourselves to come out and play.
And with 2 conference series left, you're sitting at 7-4 in the league right now. You've got a chance to establish a pretty good seeding heading into the tournament.
Yeah, I think as of right now, as I looked yesterday, even after everything that went down yesterday, we are maybe still in even first place in SoCon. I'm not quite sure if that dropped to 2, but that's why I was telling the team too, is this wasn't the end all be all weekend. Yes, we wanted to come out and win. It would have put us in a way better spot, but we come into Samford, we play well, we could take that one. We're still there. So they can't have one affect the other and let it tumble. So like I said, hopefully we come into this weekend, we play some good ball and come out with a series win.
Sports is remarkable on so many levels because on one hand, you have to be able to learn from mistakes that you've made individually, learn from losses as a team. On the other hand, in the same breath, you say, hey, you got to forget that and move on to the next one. But so it sounds contradictory, but it's really not. And that's one of the great things about sports, because you do have to learn lessons from failures or mistakes, but then very quickly you've got to shove those aside and start looking ahead.
Yeah, and especially in a sport like baseball and softball, where it is a sport of failure, you're going to fail more times than you're going to succeed, and that's considered a success. And I think, too, like nowadays, people don't like to fail, and they definitely don't like to show anywhere in public that they fail. So it's always a challenge, especially with our team or any team and the young athletes that we have, to show them that failing is okay and it's part of it, and you can learn more sometimes from the failures than you can from the wins. So we obviously stress that to our team, and I stress that to any athlete I ever come in contact with.
In the NFL, if a quarterback completes 3 out of 10 passes, he's not going to be an NFL quarterback very long. In Major League Baseball, if you get 3 hits out of 10 at bats over the course of your career, you're probably headed to the Hall of Fame.
Yes, exactly. And that's hard. That's because, especially with kids at Furman, they're used to succeeding. So, when you come into a field and they're going, I'll tease Caitlin Goldwait right now, but when she went the one game 5 for 5, she was like on cloud 9. Next game, I think she went 0 for 4, and she was really angry with it. Okay, be hard on yourself. But I said, that means you went 5 for 9. Like, you're hitting over 500.
Right.
But in her mind, like, she failed. And it is hard with the kids that we have nowadays with that to help them see the bigger picture. So
perspective. Hey, before we wrap it up, Dens Day is coming up, and I know that there are just so many things you're trying to accomplish with this program, and just as candid as possible, one of the ways, maybe the only way you're going to be able to do a lot that you want to do is with the support from the Furman fans. So just talk about how important Dens Day is, and have you set any goals or any challenges? I mean, we've seen what Andre Bernardi and his staff are continuing to do, building off of last year. But what is Dens Day going to look like for Furman softball?
Well, we have meetings with the captains this year. We kind of put it on the team this year to kind of decide what challenges they want to do. And it can, of course, they look at us and they're like, what can we make the coaches do? We don't know what. We told them that some could be them too, but we'll have a better understanding by next week, like what those challenges are going to look like. We'll put them out there. But I don't know. I think Dens Day for us right now is huge, just to get Furman softball out there. Just to have, and Dens Day is always about how many donors you get. It's not necessarily how much you get, which obviously you would love to get a ton of donations, but we just want to reach as many people as possible because we want to make Furman softball a household name, especially within the area, through our alumni. We just want to see the support and want them to see what we're trying to do. And the more people we reach with that, the better. So obviously within our program, there's always things that you could think that you need. But to us right now, I think it's more just how many people can Furman softball get to that people are talking about us right now. So I think that's our main goal in the beginning of this. And then the money and the amount we get, that's a bonus to it right now as we're beginning, this process with my staff and what I'm trying to bring.
Just building and deepening the fan support.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's where it starts. And then from there, hopefully we start having a little more success. The culture is getting there and bringing, like I've said before, the alumni back and having conversations with them and what they want to be a part of. And I think all that is kind of where we're at right now until we can get the team succeeding a little bit more, and then we could talk about field upgrades and covering our stands and all the fancy stuff that would just be really nice to have.
One step at a time.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I have that problem. I want to go from A to X and not B, C, D, E, F, G, and there's nothing wrong with dreaming big, but at the same time, you have to be willing to take the steps as they come.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Well, looking forward to it. And I know that Dens Day is important to everybody here on campus, but I wanted to give you a moment just to kind of share what that's about. You ready for a big week?
I am ready for a big week. Today's a day off, but I'd be at practice if we could. Just excited about what could come. So
So these scheduled and I guess mandated days off probably as good for the coach as they are for anybody
it
else,
is.
right?
It is. It is good. Usually I'm all for them. Today I just feel like after that weekend you just can't wait to wash it and get moving and do something else. So
well, you can go out and run some wind sprints or something if you want to.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank
it's always
you, Dan.
great to catch up with you. Stacey Johnson-Whitfield, Furman Softball Weekly Windup. We'll be back with another edition next week. Looking forward to continuing to chart the success of this program moving forward. Until then, for Stacey and all of us at Furman, as always, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. So long, everybody.